So when I saw this piece of news pop up on my timeline, I was like, you know what? Do I want to make a video about that? This is a pretty interesting topic. A top prospect from the Ottawa Senators system is officially leaving the team and heading over to the Malmö Redhawks in Sweden. This is a pretty big deal, right? But I was kind of like, you know what? When it comes to this player, Lassi Thomson, while sure, he's a guy that I have liked a lot, and that has been made very evident by the fact that we even made a Why I Want video 4 years ago when he was draft eligible in 2019, Lassi Thomson is a guy who unfortunately just doesn't move the needle as much as he did 5 years ago. Take a look at the profile here. 23 years old, 6 feet, 190-pound right-handed defenseman who was initially drafted by Ottawa in the 19th overall spot in the 2019 draft. As we had seen from the tweet, he's officially joining Malmö, leaving what was the Belleville Senators in the 23-24 season in the AHL. Thomson, to me, was a guy who stood out because playing for the Kelowna Rockets in 2018-19, he had a rocket, pun intended, of a shot. He had 17 goals in 63 games played, had a really good knack for offense, and even in the video, we said he had the best shot of all the defenders in the 2019 draft. Now, 2019 had itself some really good names like Bowen Byram and Cam York, but Lassi Thomson, I felt, had the best shooting out of all those guys. As Thomson's career went on, though, he was a part of different teams. He was in Ilves in the Finnish Liga, went over to Belleville, played for the Ottawa Senators. There was a brief stint that you're not seeing over here wherein he actually was an Anaheim Duck. And the reason you're not seeing it is because he actually only played in preseason games for Anaheim. He was claimed by the Anaheim Ducks on waivers on, when was this? October 1st, 2023, and then just a week later, the Ducks placed him on waivers again, and then he was claimed by Ottawa. He had a preseason game in there where he actually looked really, really bad, and Lassi Thomson was just not able to find his footing as a potential top 4 Ottawa Senators defenseman like some people, myself included, thought he would be able to be. I even said the same thing back in the Why I Want video. Oh yeah, this guy's good, he can do this, he can do that, but honestly, Lassi Thomson just has not been able to prove that. And so, when you take a look at where exactly things go, I was like, do we want to make a video about this? Is this really like the most needle-moving kind of topic? Oh, the Sens are losing out on the prospect? Not really. But then I saw this post made on the Our Hockey sub, where they posted the same thing here. Lassi Thomson has left the Sens organization and signed with the SHL's Malmö Redhawks. And one of the comments goes out there and talks about, with this, the Ottawa Senators have officially lost both Matt Duchene trades. Impressive. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Let's go out there and look at the Matt Duchene trade, the second one, not the first one, the big 3-team trade with the Avalanche, the Predators, and the Senators. You could say that this one was already kind of a loss for Ottawa because Duchene didn't really do much with the team. They had already made it to the 3rd round the season prior, and look, from Ottawa, you got Andrew Hammond, Shane Bowers, a first, which ended up being Bowen Byram, and a third for only Matt Duchene. You could very well say that Duchene and what he brought was not worth what Bowen Byram eventually ended up becoming for the Colorado Avalanche, and subsequently the Buffalo Sabres. I mean, Matt Duchene was fine with the Ottawa Senators, it's just the team wasn't really able to do much with him there, so they quickly shelled him off. He went over to Columbus, and this is the trade in which you could say the Ottawa Senators ended up losing because of this Lassi Thomson departure. You see, Matt Duchene and Julius Bergman were traded over to Columbus in exchange for Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, and this 2019 first-round pick, which eventually became Lassi Thomson. There also was a 2020 first-round pick in there too that was conditional, but because Matt Duchene did not resign with Columbus, this pick, which eventually became 21st overall 2020 draft, did not end up transferring over to Ottawa. If you take a look at what Matt Duchene was able to accomplish ever since getting traded over to Columbus, I mean, he had the crazy season, he had 10 points in 10 games in the playoffs, the Blue Jackets beat the Lightning in the first round, which was outstanding, And then when Duchene went over to Nashville, his career was kind of up and down. He had 86 points in 78 games played, and then 56 points in 71 games played. He got bought out, he got signed by Dallas, and now he has a 65-point campaign in 80 games. Matt Duchene has been nothing short of a spectacular addition for this Dallas Stars team after getting bought out. It's kind of crazy how the team that bought all these guys out still ended up making the playoffs the next year, but I guess that's what happens when Andrew Brunette is your head coach. Either way, though, Matt Duchene did provide significant value for the Blue Jackets and all the subsequent teams he was on after. As for what the Ottawa Senators received in that trade, Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, and Lassi Thomson are all no longer part of the organization. Vitaly Abramov is playing for CSKA Moscow in the KHL. And if you take a look at what he did in Ottawa, he didn't really do much. He had 2 games played in 2020-2021, 2 games played in 2019-20, 1 game played in 2018-19. Abramov never was able to take that next step after being a fairly productive AHL forward. Now in the KHL, he's doing all right, 32 points in 59 games played. As for the other guy, Jonathan Davidson, he's a right-handed right winger playing in the Porinasat team in the Finnish Liga. He had 9 points in 29 games played this season, and he, as well, has only had 6 games played with the Ottawa Senators. Add on to this the profile of Lassi Thomson, who was never able to break out with the Ottawa Senators himself, and you have a package of a trade that just did not go well for Ottawa. Abramov, Davidson, and Lassi Thomson are not doing much. Meanwhile, Matt Duchene contributed heavily to that Columbus Blue Jackets first-round sweep of the Lightning and had himself a great career afterwards. So you could very well say that with the Lassi Thomson departure from the Ottawa Senators system going over to Sweden, that officially this trade was also a loss for Ottawa. This trade, as well as the first one, which you could debate whether or not this one was that bad, but honestly, I mean, Joe Sakic and the Avalanche just got so much for Matt Duchene. I mean, essentially, they only traded away Duchene, but from Ottawa and Nashville, they got all of these assets. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 assets for one dude. And a lot of these guys ended up helping out. They got Byram and Gerard in the same trade. How crazy is that? Same 3-way trade, so it's not really the same, but still, it's still one trade. Either way, though, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about each of these assets that were swapped around in the Matt Duchene trade and how the Ottawa Senators have officially seemed to have lost it in regards to how the trade was made and where things stand 5 years later. Because this trade was made on February 22nd, 2019. It is now 2024. It took a while here for all these guys to phase away from the Ottawa Senators system, but for Lassi Thomson, realistically, I mean, I don't know if anybody's all too surprised to see him not be able to break out, considering how poor he was in his own zone and some of the defensive turnovers that he had. He was producing points, which was great. He was still a point-producing defenseman in the Kelowna Rocket system, which is why he was highly touted in the first place. But at the end of the day, this is a guy whom the Ottawa Senators wasted their first-round pick on, and who didn't really pan out well after that. I mean, when you take a look at some of the guys taken after, Tobias Bjornfot is a fairly competent player who had his time in the NHL. Connor McMichael is over here. There are a bunch of guys, even if you want to just talk about defensemen. If you scroll down, you'll see a few more. Jackson Lacombe is having his time in Anaheim. Alex Vlasic is a top guy for Chicago now, oddly enough. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Lassi Thomson's departure from Ottawa and what this means for the status of the Matt Duchene trade. Did Ottawa really lose out on this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.